Hello guys, welcome to my channel. I hope everything's okay in your life. In this video you will find an updated version of series I prepared in the previous years. You're in luck for listening to the explanation because I felt the need to quickly discuss the content of the video. Each video will feature an interview with a class master about either the succession or awakening versions of a class. All videos, including the older ones, will be available in the playlist you see on the screen. You can find the link of the playlist in the pinned comment section. The purpose of this video series is to help you understand the basic role of the class within the game. I must clarify that it is not a deeply detailed guide. You will watch an interview in a conversational style aimed at answering the fundamental questions of those interested in playing a class. The class masters featured are experienced players who have dedicated thousands of hours to their class and to the Black Desert Online. You may recognize some and not the others, but unfamiliarity does not make them bad players. All the class masters mentioned have proven themselves in Black Desert Online world. Please be respectful when sharing your thoughts. Enjoy watching. Hello guys, welcome. Today's guest is Jaykun. We will talk about Awakening Woosa class overall. Welcome Jaykun, how are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
May you please introduce yourself? Who is Jay? Where are you from? Which server are you playing at?
My name is Jaykun Aviti, or just Jay. I do online content creation and am a BDO partner for Pearl Abyss, and I am a proud Canadian, and I play on the North American servers.
Thank you very much. How did you find out of BDO and what caught your interest to stay in BDO?
My cousin was actually the one who introduced me to BDO. Of course, the waifus definitely caught my eye, but what kept me around was the amazing combat system. There's no other combat system in any other MMO that feels as satisfying as this one.
Not gonna lie, all the classmasters, almost all of them giving the same or similar answer about this question. Combat system is common answer.
Oh, I thought you were going to say the waifus are the common.
No. The combat system, not waifu.
I see.
Okay, have you ever taken a break from playing video? If so, what motivated you to come back?
Yeah, I'd taken a few months break after doing a pen roulette on my gear back in 2019, and then I came back in 2020. What motivated me to return again was when they announced that each class was going to get a brand new spec called Succession to play, and that really interested me in returning since I love the combat system so much.
Thank you. How long have you been playing the class you're currently playing? Have you tried any other classes?
The class I play is Woosa, and I've been playing her since release as of December 2022, so about a year and a half now. As for other classes, I've played the Witch class extensively since I started the game in 2018, and I also have a Shy class that I tagged after Odalita release for the main purposes of doing Olin's Valley and other party content like Ataraxian.
Thank you. I have to remind this to our viewers. Maybe people know you from the Witch interview. We did the Witch interview with the Jaykun like 2 years ago. Now he's our guest for Awakening Woosa. What sets the class you play apart from the other classes? What is special thing in Awakening Woosa? Because Awakening Woosa is pretty unique class. Pretty unique to find someone who plays that class.
Definitely the aesthetics is what drew me first towards Awakening Woosa. I mean, I do still play Succession Woosa as well. I played it, it was the only choice back then to play for 8 months. I think it was around 8 months until Awakening Woosa came out. But yeah, it's simply just the aesthetics. It's also a slower playstyle. I've always preferred slower playstyles anyways. I mean, I played Witch for 5 years, Awakening Witch specifically, and so those are the two main aspects, is aesthetics and a slower playstyle.
Thank you. Is your class evasion or damage reduction or both playable, and why?
Woosa is primarily a deer class. She doesn't really have anything in her kit that's helped support the evasion stat very well. Additionally, her unique ability in Succession to reflect damage also incentivizes using DR as well.
Thank you. What is your current gear score? Do you rush your gear progress or you go with the flow when it comes to gear progression?
My current gear score is at hard cap at around 760 gear score, and yeah, I do like to try and get it ahead of the curve as soon as I can.
Thank you. So is your class newbie friendly? On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate its difficulty? If you want, you can separate it as Succession and Awakening and you can compare them in different stage.
Yeah, so I would say Succession is a great class to learn as a newer player. I would rate it at maybe around 5 or 6 in terms of difficulty. It's not too hard and fairly straightforward. Awakening, on the other hand, is kind of easy and hard at the same time. It's easy to start learning Awakening, but a little bit hard to master since weapon swapping is really important to doing well with the class.
Not gonna lie, Awakening is a little bit different than the other Awakening classes. In Awakening Woosa, what I see and what I felt while I'm playing, you have to use your Awakening way more than the other like recent release classes.
Yes.
You feel like the old classes, like Valkyrie Warrior type of classes. You just bounded with your Awakening a lot.
Yeah, I mean, actually, that was the way you played Witch back then. If any Witches remember from 2018 or 2019, there was a lot of weapon swapping in for Witch back then because the Awakening class scaled so horribly. And so your absolute skills, your staff skills like Fireball, Lightning, all of that scaled better than Awakening. And so the weapon swapping really reminded me of that for Witch back then. Now, Awakening for Witch is, I know we're talking a lot about Witch, but but yeah, now for Awakening for Witch, she stays mostly in Awakening, but Awakening Woosa really reminded me of that time playing it. And I love the whole weapon swapping aspect anyways. So it really fit me.
Okay, so we talked in the general things about your class. Let's dive in. We are curious about your thoughts on the PvE situation of Awakening Woosa. Could you provide us with detailed information separately for early, mid, and end game?
Sure. Yeah, Woosa is a fairly good class in most spots. In early game spots, like one-shot spots, Succession and Awakening perform like okay. You just throw out abilities and move to the next pack. There's not really much to talk about. I don't think anyone's really min-maxing these spots too long before they get into the mid-game spots. For mid-game spots, these spots really favor on-demand burst. So Succession does this decently well in comparison to other classes. However, Awakening's slower animations and delayed damage will make this a little bit harder for players who want to min-max these areas. And then on for endgame spots, she performs the best in areas that don't require too much movement, like Dekia spots. That's where she performs the best. Succession and Awakening perform fairly similarly from my experience. However, Awakening will fall behind in spots that really heavily rely on damage enhancing mechanics, like the Ulakita buffs.
That Ulukita buff is just not only Wusa's problem, not gonna lie. All the pet type of dependent damage classes, they're having the issue, like Tungrat Ruins.
Yes.
I mean, they will change the Tungrat Ruins tomorrow, but there will be many spots like that. Like even in Gaifin, that buffs also affect your pet damage.
Yes.
And yeah, I mean, many things. I mean, it's not only Wusa's. Yes, Wusa's, Awakening Wusa's, the flower skills, yes, maybe your 70-80% main damage comes from them, and you can feel it like in deep, but it's like general game problem, but I don't know how and when they will solve it. I think it's pretty easy and simple, but I don't know.
Yeah, I'm curious as to how they will go forward with it, because that will really limit what kind of classes they can make in the future. For because when people are talking about pet classes, we're always kind of iffy. Like players have always understood that pet classes have always been a little bit behind than just classes who just do direct damage. And so if we're looking at classes that will be heavily pet based, potentially like a necromancer in the future, that would be an issue for that kind of a class.
Exactly. Okay, thank you so much for PvE infos. Let's talk about PvP. We are curious about your thoughts on the PvP situation of Awakening Woosa. Could you provide us with a detailed information separately for 1v1, 1vx, AOS, 5v5, Guild League, Node, Siege, and War of the Roses? Because I also wondered that after the changes, after the PV reworks, after overall the skill reworks, what happened on Awakening Woosa? What changed? Is she still being like in, dead mode or something?
I will try to go over like both Succession and Awakening. I don't have the most PvP experience. I do like to watch a lot of like Woosa PvP montages and videos, just for entertainment purposes. And from what I found from both my experience and watching those videos, in 1v1 situations, she has a fairly decent kit for catching people, and has a decent combo potential to stand her ground in duels for Succession. Awakening also has fairly good catches, since she pretty much has all of the catches from Succession available through the pre-awakening kit. And also she has an extremely powerful ability to CC through forward guard with Blooming Death, but will have less of a combo potential due to her slower animations. In 1vx situations, Succession can really turn the fight around if she gets a good catch or gets a good reflect play. Awakening will be at a disadvantage again due to her slower animations. In AOS, I've actually been doing a lot of AOS lately. Surprisingly, just my friends just keep dragging me into it. But as mentioned before, she has fairly good catches and combo potential in Succession, so she performs decently. And for Awakening, what I found her strongest asset is her ability to unexpectedly cost CC, because again, of Blooming Death, I've caught so many people with Blooming Deaths, they don't expect it because it does CC through forward guard. Additionally, her delayed flower bombs allow her to create really dangerous zones. So if you're good at communicating with your teammates, you can tell them, hey, play around this area of the arena, and they'll just get randomly CC'd. I would sometimes have matches with like 30 to 40 CCs, just like a 3-round match, just because we're playing around my mechanics, right? In large scale situations like Guild League, Siege, and War of the Roses, I've seen some really satisfying Succession reflect plays where she absorbs 90% of her, the damage absorption and reflect it, because you guys didn't know, the reflect dough energy is true damage. It will go through forward guards, go through any protection all at once, effectively like one-shotting all the players around them. However, at the same time, it's also super difficult to pull off because you will lose that reflect stored energy if you get CC'd or die. For Awakening, she has decent zoning potential with her flower bombs. Her long range, again, being long range in these large scale situations are generally always at an advantage over being melee. And so she follows up really easy on group pushes from a safe distance.
Thank you so much. Is there a significant strong aspect of the class you're playing, or significant weakness? What is the strongest thing, and what is the weakest thing in Awakening Woosa?
For Awakening, probably her unexpected CCs. So her flower bombs can delay. You can throw it a flower bomb, right, and stay in that area. And if someone tries to grab you, they could potentially still get CC'd after they grab you. And again, she can CC through forward guard with Blooming Death. Her weakest aspect is definitely her delay damage. When you throw out your bombs, it could hit somebody or not hit somebody most of the time, since people can just move out of it. But that's the idea, is to zone with it to protect yourself from these potential things. For Succession, probably your strongest and most difficult aspect is the reflect mechanic that I keep mentioning. It's really strong if you can pull it off, but really difficult to pull off.
Thank you. Are there any classes that clearly dominate Awakening Woosa, or are there any classes that Awakening Woosa clearly dominate them? The counter matchup.
Generally, any fast grab class is strong against Woosa in general. I recently was fighting a tamer called Memo in AOS, and they're one of the best tamers in AOS, and they just jump on me and instantly grab me, and then I'm dead. So just any general fast class is a big no-no for Woosa.
Thank you. Is there a mechanic or skill in your class that you would like to be nerfed or buffed?
I would love for more support utility for Woosa in general. I always talk about this with my class, about how her rain skills in Succession could do different things based on like the Segunja spell, because Segunja spells will activate your rain clouds. And so if she used Segunja Plum, which is her healing on hit ability, it could do a healing rain. Or if she did Segunja Chrysanth, which is her movement speed buff, any classes or any players that walk in her rain will get a movement speed buff too. So I would love more support utility in that manner. For Awakening, her Blood Flowers skill could be a little bit more interesting. Right now it just does HP and MP recovery, which is really boring. Maybe it gives allies HP on hit would be a little bit more interesting, or like an AoE res would be a lot more interesting and more impactful in that way for her. As for nerfs, I haven't really thought about nerfing Woosa. I think when most people think about changing a class, they just think about buffs. Yeah, I don't have any comment on buff, debuff, or nerfs for my class.
Okay. First, I played Awakening Woosa. I tried that class. First, they should fix that general game problem, the pet damage problem. Hopefully they can solve. And you talked about something utility part of the class. You said that I want to see more supportive part, because class has some utility things, but they're kind of outdated, or they need some adjustments. What I think that I don't know if that actually be strong, but what do you think that if they add speed, the slow purification on your flower skills, when they blow, it will deal damage to the enemy, and also nearby the flowers that all your allies will be purified from the slow.
So like clearing slows, yeah, from your allies, that'd be cool. Yeah, anything really to provide her with more utility. I love I played, again, I keep talking about Witch because I love Witch, and I still dabble in Witch, and Witch has a great support utility with her speed spell, with her PA, with her burst heals, and I just I miss it a little bit, and I would love for it to have that support aspect in Awakening Woosa, or Woosa in general as well. So
you know what I said? Why I said this one? It's because Awakening Woosa is not the preferred class. It's because of the mechanic, chronic issues, and some other things. Class is amazing, unique, definitely. Is it strong? Yes, it is strong for some part of the game. But in PvP, feel like many things missing in the class, and they just ignore that class to fix the chronic issues. And if they don't want to fix the chronic issues, why they don't add something like I offer, like the slow purification, or some kind of another buffs like a pep for 10 second, 15 second, like something special for her. So whenever you see a Awakening Woosa in your team, you can think like that, okay, slow will not be problem for me because it will just set all the flowers around and they will blow. Even if I just get a slow, it will just purify and I will be okay. But now if I see, it's not a personal thing, if I see Awakening Woosa in my team in PvP, I will just call it like, oh, what is this griefer is doing here? That's what I call. Because in 2024's BDO it's just a different level. It's just an Awakening Woosa cannot reach at that level. The skill kit is outdated for this part of the game.
No, yeah, for sure. I understand your comment about making something unique a reason to bring an Awakening Woosa to whatever content, right? So that's why I am wanting more support utility, right? Your reason for your offer of flow purification is a support utility to help remove slows, right? That would be a reason to bring Awakening Woosa, and same thing with all like the other suggestions I made, like an AoE res or something like that on in large scale or something would be, because although Awakening Woosa is ranged and being ranged is an advantage, you'd rather bring somebody else that does the job better, like a ranger or a archer does a way better job at being a ranged class than an Awakening Woosa. And so yes, definitely having that unique aspect that you would want to bring, like, oh hey, yeah, I have an Awakening Woosa on my team, then she can do this and she can do that and no other class can do it. I would love for more of that for her. So
yeah, hopefully they can realize that there is a Awakening Woosa in the game. Okay, so we talked in general about Awakening Woosa. Can we get a brief summary of her good and bad things in Awakening Woosa? What can Awakening Woosa offer me? Let's say that I want to reroll to that class. And what should I expect from Awakening Woosa?
So for Woosa in general, she offers a really strong PvE presence. Like you will definitely be satisfied with the amount of player speed that you do for both Awakening and Succession. If you just play at a casual level, at an average level, 95% of us who do play BDO will not be grinding, like, you know, min-maxing to the T, right? You're not really, it's hard to sustain that kind of gameplay for very long periods of time for any class, and especially for faster paced classes. And so a slower paced class that's why we play Awakening Guardian, that's why we play Awakening Witch, right? They provide that really easy to play style that she can keep up with in both Awakening and Succession from my experience. And it's fairly straightforward too. There's not too much going on. You're kind of just holding down buttons when you are playing Woosa to continue her spells. I would say the worst and hardest to learn aspect of her to a newer and average player is getting used to the movement. I've been told many times in the past that her movement feels clunky until they start understanding, hey, you can cancel the forward RP animation walk with a certain ability or something like that, or reset her movement with all of her other abilities. When you use her attack abilities, all of those reset her forward movement. And so once players understand that movement, she feels really good to play around with in PvE. So additionally, again, aesthetic is a big thing as well. That's probably one of the strongest aspects for Woosa, is a really beautiful aesthetic. The aesthetic and concept of, summoning clouds, rain, and thunder in Succession and Awakening. She's kind of like a waterbender. I always compare that to her in terms of, I don't know if you watched Avatar: The Last Airbender when you were younger. I don't know if that is a thing from where you're from, but it's one of my favorite childhood shows, and my favorite type of bending style was waterbending. So she's kind of like that aspect of the water aesthetic as well in Awakening. So I would say those are the strongest things that you can provide for players, average players like me.
Thank you so much. We talk about in general about Awakening Woosa and all the infos, all the experiences, all the recommendations, advices, everything. Every one of them is priceless. Let's talk about BDO itself. What are your thoughts on BDO's current situation from past until now?
In the past, I've always thought the combat system of BDO is still the best on the MMR market, and still is today. I would say the primary focus of BDO in the past was PvP and has shifted more into a PvE focused game. I personally preferred PvE anyways, so I'm unaffected by a lot of the concerns of the current state of BDO today. So
what do you think PA Company does well and what it does bad about updates. If you were in charge, let's say that you are the Mr. J of the company, what would you like to add or remove?
I think the company does a fairly good job on constantly making the game have a much better quality of life. I think we can all like the difference between 2018 BDO and 2024 BDO in terms of the quality of life. We have crystal presets right now. We have auto potions, auto elixirs, auto worker feed. We just have a lot of really nice quality of life systems, and that's one of the best aspects of what they've been doing well in recent times, as well as constantly making certain aspects of the game continuously relevant, such as technically a pen ogre back in 2018, if you had one, is still a really powerful item today. It's still relevant in a sense that it gives 35 AP. Of course, people are going for Debarekas nowadays, which is kind of being pushed now. But yeah, items like that they've still made relevant, similar to how they make the armors craftable into the Fallen God weapons. I'm assuming maybe that will be the same way for the weapons, like the Pen Blackstar or Zarka or Ofin will be made into the Fallen God weapons. But if I was in charge, I would maybe push the idea of large-scale PvE mode, like a PvE node war or siege that has players working together. I mean, if you think about it, like the company has kind of not to say killing PvP, that's like an extreme way of saying it, because I mean I heard those comments before where there's not really open world thing anymore. Karma is so heavily negatively affecting you if you were to go negative, right? And so if players don't want to fight each other, let's just work together and fight monsters. And so I feel like a PvE node war or siege would be really cool to have in the game. So that's what I would do if I was working for the company.
Yeah, I would definitely. I mean, the PV node war idea, I don't know how they can implement it, but the different type of PV mechanics or PV events, they can be good. Like instead of, the classic term like turning onto cycle or circle and that cycle, circle, cycle, circle. I mean, it's BDO's summary if you ask someone is a casual, but like a more group content, as you said, I mean, more interesting that people can go together randomly, not your with your party. Like, for example, in other games, they're like, you just join something, they're like thousands of people at the same time, at the same hour, at the same day, you just join there. Game randomly automatically creates a platoon, for example. You go there and fight, and random people, you do not even know who are they. Those type of thing that we need in this game, more difficult group content. On the other hand, maybe you remember that before the other interview, we talked about the dead items in the game. Like we still have the same dead items in the game for 2 years. Like for example, blooms are dead, leaves are dead, Cycreus, not Cycreus, or was Sisit Song is dead, or we have many items like that. They are dead or they are getting be dead situation. And also want to see that those type of items should be more viable and usable in the game. In Rylock's interview, we talked about that. He talked about that like Orzeka costume or something, and he said that why we do not have that Orzeka horse costume or something like that. And I said it's perfect. Let's use our 5 lungs and create 5 lungs to create or craft that what was the name? The Orzeka horse costume, and also let us sell it. Let us sell that Orzeka costume. How many lungs do you have? I have more than 50 lungs, maybe. I don't know. They're sitting in my storage and they're nothing, but they're extremely rare also. It is hard to get them. So all dead items should be revived or something.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. Yeah, there's a lot of items in BDO that could have a more alternative use, even if it's just like breaking them down, like melting. I don't know if we melt secret songs for additional, I don't know, magical shards or something like that, or just melting the lungs for crons or something like that, because it's a costume. And so definitely agree with more alternative uses for those items.
Just an idea. Let me just melt or heat the Sisit Song, and with a low probability for 10%, let me get a Deboreka ring or something.
Yeah, anything really.
Anything is okay.
So they're not just rotting in my storage, so.
Okay, what advice would you like to give to newbies, returnees, and other players in the game?
I would say the best advice I have for newer players or returnees is to create short-term goals while working towards a long-term goal. Like, for example, a short-term goal can be to earn a certain amount of silver for the week or finish a certain quest line or adventure log over time, just plan it out, or getting a small upgrade for your gear. And a long-term goal can be like finishing a treasure item or getting a pen black star or a pen accessory. And I find that seeing yourself complete these goals one step at a time can be really motivating to continue your progression. So that would be my best advice for those players.
Thank you. We are reaching the end of the interview. Is there anything else you would like to add before we finish?
First, thank you for having me on this interview. And secondly, I hope BDO continues to be the MMO I play for a very long time.
I want to thank Jay. Jay is high experienced, like very long, like unique player in BDO. He looks like a casual, but he's also not casual. He knows many things in the game. You're seeing his social links right now on the screen. Go check Mi Amigo's Twitch. Go check Mi Amigo's YouTube. In these days, he's a little bit busy in real life thing, but most of time in before he was streaming, like he was streaming almost every day and he was helping people almost every day. I know that you will just click that link in the description section and you're gonna just click that follow, subscribe or something and go check his contents. You will not regret. Thank you so much, Jay.
Thank you, Kandia.
Alright guys, do not forget, BDO is just a game. Have a nice game.